What's going on, my Fro Force? You're chilling with Trader Zabza, and today I have got for you an EXPNU battle. That's right, I was able to get it up on time thanks to my good buddy Pedro. I'm currently on my old desktop computer, so I'm sorry if I sound a little odd in any way. Like I said, I'm on an old computer. But since I did manage to get this up and running, I can do a better video than last time, because before I just kind of rushed through it as fast as I could before my laptop battery could die. But for this, I can feel free to take my time. So what I was expecting Pedro to bring. I was expecting Pedro to definitely bring his Suicune from his roster and his Mega Venusaur, which he brought neither. And that confused the hell out of me why he wouldn't bring either of those awesome mons. But since he didn't, I'm actually feeling a little bit confident about the battle. I brought my Aerodactyl, which is slightly more offensive than the Aerodactyl set I brought before. The one I brought before was like Roost and Defog and Rocks, and it was just pretty much just offensive it was pretty much just support with one offensive move, while this one is offensive with one support move. So Focus Sash again with Stealth Rock, Rock Tomb, not Rock Slide, because I want to be able to slow down the Rotom if I happen to come in on it and like it gets me down to my sash with a Thunderbolt or something. And Earthquake and Aerial Ace specifically for Meloetta Pirouette, if it is the Pirouette form, if I have to come in on it. I've got a specially defensive Assault Vest Cofagrigus, which I actually changed up the set last minute to make it more specially offensive and specially defensive, and I thought that kind of made a difference in the battle. But I'll explain during the battle what I meant. I've got my bulky Mega Gallade, I should say, which is not max speed, but fast enough to outspeed a max speed Entei, because that's the fastest thing on his team besides Pirouette form, which I can't outspeed anyway. And it has Swords Dance, Drain Punch, Psycho Cut in case of the Mega Venusaur, and Will-O-Wisp for Granbull, which he did bring, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. If he tries to wall my Gallade with Granbull, he's going to be in for a nasty surprise. Next, I brought Typhlosion. He did unfortunately bring the Blissey, which means a special Typhlosion would not be able to handle it. However, this is not an ordinary Typhlosion, and I will explain what that is later. A Scarfed Braviary with Jolly Max Speed, because that was the only way I would be able to outspeed Meloetta Pirouette form. Again, this is all going off like max speed for Meloetta Pirouette, because that's the fastest thing that Pedro has that isn't Scarfed. And finally, a physically defensive Cloyster, which it's just physically defensive. With 180 base defense, I really didn't feel a need to invest too much in it, so what I did is I went with like 196 HP, 220 defense, and I put the rest in speed to outspeed creep like base 80 speeds, I think. And yeah, so that way I could outspeed a I EV'd it so it's not exactly base 80, but like I EV'd it so I could outspeed a Rotom if it wasn't offensive. Like if it was defensive Rotom, I EV'd it so Cloyster could outspeed it and possibly go for the Razor Shell. But that's it for the team Pedro's team. He's got Rotom Heat, which I think is probably Scarfed since most of them are. Meloetta, since he brought it in his last battle that he had, Meloetta Pirouette, I'm gonna think that it's Meloetta Pirouette, but I'm still gonna try and be cautious around it. Blissey, especially defensive wall. That's it. There's nothing else it can do, really. Granbull, physically defensive wall, probably. It might be offensive, but I'm gonna keep my suspicions and say it's defensive. Flygon, Defog. That's almost what I'm positive of. Like in the last battle, he brought Scarf Defog, so I just prepared it. I was just like, alright, whether he's Scarfed or not, he's bringing Defog. And finally, Steelix, I really don't know what to expect from it. I can think offensive, defensive, obviously not Mega, but either way, it's still going to be very bulky and very powerful. Sorry for this long intro, but that's it for the intro. Let's go ahead and get to the battle. So to start off my battle with Pedro, I'm going to lead Aerodactyl just to get up my rocks, as he leads off with his Steelix. I'm assuming just to do the same thing, But, you know, I go for the rocks, and he actually goes for a heavy slam and just breaks me down my sash, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm not quite ready to sacrifice my Aerodactyl just yet, because I know he still has a defogger, and I may want to put the rocks back up. So I'm going to pull back, go into, you know, that's right, you guys, you know what it is. I don't need to say what a Cloyster is, you all know what it is. As he goes for a heavy slam, and it does nothing. Unfortunately, it's not resisted because I'm also ice type, but still, it does nothing. I go for a Razor Shell, and it does a pretty good amount. You know, for hitting a Steelix, that is a pretty good amount. And he goes for the Stone Edge, and pay attention to the number there. It actually did 48 damage. And in the next one, it does about 42 to 46. It was kind of hard to tell in the moment. But these Stone Edges are doing just under 50, and that's going to be very important to keep in mind for later in the match. But I get a defense drop on the Razor Shell, which means I'm definitely going to be able to knock out the Steelix. He knows this. He wants to preserve it, pulls back into his Granbull, gets the Intimidate drop on my Cloyster, which is ironic because I don't have any attack investment. And I get another defense drop. So now his Granbull is being pressured because suddenly Cloyster's being all like, oh, you got defense? Let's cut it in half. Well, it's not really in half, but you get what I mean. Like, the Intimidate's not going to matter if he keeps cutting monster or Pokemon's defenses in half, or not in half, But you guys get what I mean. He pulls back from his Granbull into his Steelix. He said in his commentary it was like to preserve it at health. I just assumed he didn't want to take another hit from a dropped, with a drop defense of the Razor Shell. And I managed to get another drop defense as he goes for an Earthquake. And here's the interesting thing. I'm at 50 HP exactly. He gets a Custap Berry with a Stone Edge and misses. Now, in the chat on the Skype, I was like, I don't usually like to talk on Skype during battle, so I was like, I'm so sorry for the hacks. And he said, don't worry about it, it probably didn't matter. And I thought it did matter, but going back and doing calcs afterwards, it might not have mattered because, you know, like I said before, it was 48 damage. The second hit was like 42 to 46, so it might have killed me on a max, or it might have knocked out Cloyster on a max roll, but otherwise it might not have mattered. But anyway, he brings in his Rotom, threatens out my Cloyster. As I go into Cofagrigus, he Volt Switches out into Flygon, and this is perfect because I know he's been wanting to find an opportunity to defog, so I bring in my Braviary, formerly his, which I managed to snag up in the last free agency exchange. So I wanted to name it Revenge, but I couldn't remember when I was renaming them. So or when I was giving them their nicknames. So you know what? Falcon Punch right to the face. Flygon goes down. Hell yeah! So now all I have to deal with is this Rotom, and I can't outspeed a timid Rotom with a Scarf, and I think he might be Scarf. So I'm gonna pull back, go into my Cofagrigus, and I do not take that Thunderbolt as well as I want to. I really thought I'd be able to take it better with my Assault Vest, so I'm kind of kicking myself for readjusting my EVs before, or like when I was making them on, because I readjusted, like I said, I readjusted to be especially offensive, or more especially offensive, and that was just, I guess that was just a bad idea. So I'm going to pull back into my Gallade because I know it can take at least one hit because Mega Gallade has massive special bulk. So I Mega Evolve. I'm going to go for the Drain Punch. He brings in his Granbull thinking that he could completely wall me. And I'm looking pretty good now because now that he's brought his Granbull out, I can Will-O-Wisp this thing. And I know that Will-O-Wisp isn't going to last if he's got Heal Bell, which Granbulls have been known to have while being physically defensive walls. But I figure that as long as I can keep getting residual on him, my Drain Punches aren't going to do much, so I might as well cut his offense while doing residual at the same time. So at least, this will give me at least one turn where he has to go for Heal Bell, but he goes for Bulk Up. And I find this very interesting. If he has Bulk Up, then it's most likely he does not have Heal Bell. So bringing in Cloyster here was a really good option, because I don't think he can knock it out. At least, and especially not with a burn. I mean, the +1 attack isn't going to matter much. I mean, he's essentially at -1, and he shows me the close combat. I'm terrified, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that did nothing. And just Cloyster is a defensive monster. Why has no one used this more for just defense? It's so good. But I managed to take him down. I managed to take his health down good with a Razor Shell as he lowers his defense with a close combat. And wanting to preserve his Granbull and keep it at a good amount of HP, he pulls back, goes into his Meloetta, which is it's a good option. It's a good option. And I'm just going to do as much damage as I can because I know I can't switch in anything on a Relic Song. If he's Meloetta Pirouette, he's going to go for a Relic Song. I can't afford to have something accidentally put to sleep, and I can't afford to have anything take the hit. So unfortunately, I have to fodder off Cloyster, but that means I get a free switch into Aerodactyl. I can go for the Aerial Ace. Now, this next move took me a while to think about, because I could have gone for the Stealth Rocks, or I could have gone for the Aerial Ace. But I thought, I was looking at what was left on his team, and I figure that his Rotom is the only thing that's really susceptible to hazards. So I decided that I would go ahead and just go for Aerial Ace instead of set up Rocks, when he could have just had his Meloetta just knock me out anyway. But he brings in Granbull, and now is my perfect opportunity. This is what I've been waiting for. I want to bring in Typhlosion, because if I was Eruption Typhlosion, I would want to bring it in on a physical wall. Knowing this, he's going to bring in his Blissey, and I get a chance to set up my substitute and go for Focus Punch. Yes! He sets up Rocks, but you know what? It's not going to save you, Blissey, because here comes a Focus Punch from the Typhlosion! Bam! Almost a one-shot. If I had gotten up my Rocks, I know it would have been a one-shot, but still, I am so happy that that actually panned out, because I took a risk going with a physical Typhlosion with Focus Punch. I knew I took that risk, but I knew that it was going to be the best Blissey counter I would have that he wouldn't have been able to think about. But so I just knocked it out with a Flare Blitz, just not being careful. I kind of wish I put Power Up Punch on there just so I wouldn't have gotten as much recoil, but you know what? It's fine, because he brings in the Meloetta. Sorry, you're not Pirouette form, which means I'm going to outspeed, Flare Blitz, and knock it out. So now I know I'm going to get knocked out, or knock myself out with the next recoil, but here's the thing. I'm in Blaze range. I made sure I had Blaze instead of Flash Fire, so that way Flare Blitz can do a lot when I'm at low HP. So physically defensive Grand Move doesn't matter. Gonna get knocked out with a Flare Blitz, and just Walter has cleared through half of Pedro's team. This is awesome. I bring in my Gallade, who's got a little bit of special bulk, like I mentioned, a little bit of special bulk. He brings in a Rotom. He goes for Overheat. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I feel like I can take the hit and go for a Drain Punch. I can't take the hit. I was really surprised that I didn't live that with at least a little HP. So I bring in my Captain Falcon, and I outspeed. I can't outspeed timid Rotom. He's modest Rotom. I won. I won my first match, guys. Woohoo! EXPNU, woohoo! I am just so hyped about that. I won my first EXPNU match, and it feels so good. And it feels good to feel that my strategy actually panned out and it was able to work. Because let's face it, guys. Focus Punch, Typhlosion, that's not going to do anything. I mean, it will do something, because I did have I like during testing, the Wild Charge from a Typhlosion does like 50% to a Suicune. But anyway, it just felt so great. And talk of the day, guys. Before, when I tried to record this, my talk of the day was, I'm sorry I had to speed up because my laptop was dying. But now it's, hey, thanks to everyone. Just thanks to Pedro, this battle is going to be able to go up today, and I'm just so happy. So I feel great. I mean, I feel sick to my stomach, but still, I feel pretty good. More content is hopefully coming by on Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday, because, you know, I'll have to actually record the content on Tuesday when I get my new laptop charger. But I'm able to get that new laptop charger because of the people who donated during my emergency stream. So, you know what, just another shout out to them. They're so awesome. So, hope you all enjoyed this battle. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out EXPNU for more awesome battles, and I will see you all next time. Bye!